I was nervous. Karen, my wife of 11 years, had told me to meet her at the Tumbleweed Inn at 3 o'clock. I knew that the bar would be pretty much empty at that hour, and whatever it was she had to tell me would have little to do with partying with her. I didn't know how right I was. The tea hours where she and I had met 13 years before, I had a bad feeling. I had suspected that she was cheating on me with a coworker. I was afraid that this meeting would be where I got the news. There had been signs. Late nights at the office where she was a secretary to the boss. Disinterest in sex, at least with me. New clothes, provocative clothes. In her closet, clothes she never wore around me. And much reduced, interest in communicating with me. We hardly spoke even at meals, fewer and fewer of which she was ever even home for. During the past several months it had been mostly me and the kids eating and her coming in with some lame excuse and perhaps a dessert from the market for the children. Max 9 and Megan 10. Her disregard for me was one thing, and it hurt. But her putting the children on the back burner really pissed me off. There were but few cars in the lot when I pulled into the tie. I had resolved to play it cool if she was going to do and say what I suspected was the case. I suspected a tell-all due to a conversation that I had partially overheard 2 nights before. Yes, okay. I agree. Tuesday, yes. I'll get him there. Well, it was Tuesday and it was 3 o'clock and she had gotten me here. I sat in the car for a few moments thinking, what if she was with the a-hole? What should I do? The wisdom imparted by my father years ago echoed in my mind. It had proven invaluable in my business endeavors. Do nothing, son, unless you're certain of your course of action. Remain silent. Let your adversary puzzle it out. The less you reveal, the greater their concern. And if they aren't concerned, they're exposed, allowing you to strategize at your discretion. Remember, your words betray your thoughts, even when you're unaware. Simply stay quiet and withdraw. Attend to matters later, armed with all the necessary information and a solid plan. As I reminisced, a fond smile crossed my face. I cherished the memory of my father's guidance. I felt his presence as though he were guiding me from above. In gratitude, I silently thanked him for his sage advice. Turning inward, I noticed her seated at the bar with a stranger. Yet, this wasn't entirely unexpected. My business, Steinbeck Incorporated, had consumed much of my time over the past decade, leaving little opportunity for socializing with her colleagues. As an electrical engineer, my company specialized in designing wiring and electrical systems for various construction firms, keeping me fully occupied during the day. I walked over to the two of them. She sensed my presence and turned. "Hello, Mark," she said. "Not hello, honey. No peck on the cheek. Just hello, Mark," I said, and I said it pointedly. "What's up?" The man turned and faced me. "Mr. Steinbeck, or would you prefer I call you Mark? We brought you here today to let you know that your wife and I have been having sex together for some time. She has made it clear that she is tired of sneaking around and having to make excuses. So I convinced her to just simply tell you. As I have said, I was halfway prepared for this and the recorder in my jacket pocket gave me an edge. I hoped I was getting it all. I waited. I said nothing after old Dad was watching and I didn't want him mad at me for being stupid. Mark said Karen, waiting for me to say something, but I remained silent. She must have decided I was in shock or something, so she started talking. "Mark, it has been so hard keeping this from you. I don't want you to feel hurt. I have no intention of leaving you. It's just, well, sex with Jason here is just too much for me to give up. I hope you can understand. I just can't keep this from you any longer." "You deserve to know," she said. I wasn't sure just how aware she was of how stupid her argument sounded. Karen had not finished college for obvious reasons. But I had never considered her actually dumb until that moment. As for the military genius she was trading me in for, well, enough said. I walked to the end of the bar where the barkeep was trying not to hear what he couldn't help but hear. I ordered what was on tap. He brought it. I sipped it, saying nothing. The two of them watched me. I could see confusion on both of their faces. I finished my beer and left. I could feel their eyes following me as I exited the building. I felt good. For the first time in months I felt that I had the upper hand. I might have been imagining it, but it was definitely how I was feeling. I went directly home. The kids would be waiting for me. I kissed the kids hello and laughed and told them it was going to be a good weekend for them. They yet and cheered and we went to get ice cream and I told them of my plan, which I had formulated earlier that day. They would be staying with their Aunt Susan and Uncle Dak for the weekend. They loved my sister and brother-in-law and they them. Sue and her husband, an ex-Army Ranger, had been unable to conceive. Hence, Max and Megan had become their favorite people in the whole wide world. I knew that Sue and Dak were going camping for the weekend. And now the kids were going to be going with them. That would give me the chance I needed to handle the things that had to be handled. "Everything okay?" Mark, said Dak. The man had an uncanny knack for picking up on things. Truthfully, no, I said. I'm divorcing Karen. The kids don't know so. I figured, he said. That brought me up short. What? I've noticed some things, he said. So has Sue. Karen actually made a play for me last Christmas. I blew her off and she made a joke about it trying to cover herself, but she couldn't sell it. Not to me. Sue made me not tell you. Sorry, I didn't know. It's okay. I'm just grateful you guys are here to take care of the kids for a couple of days. I need time to get my ducks all lined up. Listen, Mark, if you need me for anything. Thanks, Dak. I'll keep it in mind. But I think I can handle this. It'll be messy, but I have evidence. And this is not a no-fault state, so nailing them shouldn't be a problem. After I leave here, I'm heading over to Henry's to get things underway. Henry Morgan was my company's more than competent attorney. He was by all accounts at least 120 years old, but still sharp as a razor blade. He knew every judge and every worthwhile attorney in the state, let alone in the city. Karen couldn't have not realized what I was capable of doing if I found her cheating. I had to figure that she had come forward with all of this. I have a sex buddy stuff in order to short-shank anything I might do if I were to discover them by accident. It was very faulty reasoning, but the more I considered it, the more it made the only possible sense. She was scared I would find out and sandbag her. Well, I was going to do just that. Yeah, Henry, that's about it. I had come to his home unannounced and had surprised him. I had given him the recording and the name of the barkeep who had been a witness to the bizarre meeting with my wife and her sex buddy only hours earlier. Okay, I will have them both served on Monday. Are you going home? He asked. Yes, I guess so. I don't want to tip her too soon. I will be kicking her out as soon as you tell me they've been served. Okay, Malcolm will interview the witness and get him to sign an affidavit tomorrow even though it's Sunday. Speed wins in this business. Hit them hard, hit them fast, and leave them bewildered and sucking dust. I always say, he said, I like the way this man thought. And Mark, yes, sorry about your marriage and especially about Max and Megan. Anything you need. Thanks, Henry. I appreciate it. I left feeling very, very good. I had an ex-ranger and a real nasty-ass lawyer running point. Now all I had to do was sit back and let the shit hit the fan. I had told Henry to deny her anything whatsoever. She was to get nothing. He said it wouldn't be a problem with any other attorney. I knew I'd likely have to split everything with her. However, her actions, as validated by the recording, according to Henry, would provide him with the leverage to decimate her in court. If Henry asserted it, it held undeniable truth. That much I was certain of. I felt increasingly reassured as I made my way home, potentially for the last weekend with my soon-to-be ex-wife. Upon arrival, I was taken aback to find an unfamiliar car parked in the driveway. It had to belong to Jason. The evening was descending, and I wondered if I might be fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of the lovers. Parking a couple of houses down, I stealthily approached the house. The lights were off. As I approached, I noticed Rex Stottlemyre, my next-door neighbor, wheeling the trash out to the curb. Rex was a police officer. I positioned myself directly beside the unfamiliar car and made eye contact with him. He waved and I nodded. He had seen the car. I was relieved. Another witness. I made a mental note of the jerk's license plate number. I would give it to Henry tomorrow along with Rex's name and address and maybe a couple of pics if I could get him. I entered the backyard as though going to get my trash bins to bring them out. Rex had gone back in by then, so I could still try and sneak in and get my pics. They were in the front room. I pulled out my cell and shot them through the sliding glass doors at the back. Thank God for modern cell phones. He was doing her from behind while she knelt on the couch. I got about 10 pictures. Put away my cell and entered noisily through the sliding glass door. They heard me. The two turned, looked at me, and continued doing what they were doing. I went upstairs. The nerve. I thought. I seethed. But I waited. About 15 minutes later, I heard the front door downstairs open and close and then the roar of the A-hole's engines as he drove off. I waited for a minute or two more and then went back downstairs heading for the kitchen. I heard the shower running as I passed the downstairs bathroom. I poured myself a cup of coffee and waited. This was going to be interesting. 10 minutes later she came and joined me. You okay? She asked. Her voice was kind. I didn't say anything. I just sipped the coffee and waited for her to say something meaningful. It concerned me that she didn't even think to ask after the kids. This woman was not the woman I had married more than a decade past. Mark, we have to talk. The kids are at my sister's. Thought you might like to know. What? Oh, yes. I noticed they weren't here when I got home. She looked flustered now. Look, are you okay? I just wanted to be upfront and honest with you. I didn't like sneaking around. You're a good man and you deserve better. It's just sex. Mark, only sex. I will deny you nothing when we are together. And Jason knows that and is okay with it. He's a good man. It was his idea not to hide things from you anymore. I couldn't resist. Sorry, Dad. So I can have sex with my lawfully wedded wife and Jason is okay with that. Damn, that's very nice of him. No need to be sarcastic. Mark, honesty is always the best policy. You know, she said. She actually said that. Evidently breaking her wedding vows was an exception to the rule. I had to smile. I couldn't help it. Mark, damn it. Say something. She commanded. What do you want me to say? If I said to call him and tell him it's over, would you? Well, then there's nothing to say. But yes, you were right. I deserve better. I was laughing inside. But my outward demeanor was calm, even reflective. You're not a cock or whatever she said. You're my husband and a good daddy and I love you and Save it, Karen. I'm going out. Don't wait up for me. I had to get out of there. I couldn't stand to be near her. She was dead to me. Monday it would be all over and she would, well, be history. I retraced my steps of earlier in the day. I was back at the tumbleweed and the same barkeep was on duty. I bellied up and took my place at the end of the bar. The place was crowded now, especially for a Tuesday night. I ordered a tap and asked the guy, "What gives?" I said, indicating the crowd. "Ladies' night and the wolves are out." He nodded toward the far corner. The lighting was dim, but I saw him. Jason was making out with one of the ladies. So the cheater was cheating on the other cheater. Why was I not surprised? Or maybe he wasn't cheating on the other cheater. Maybe the other cheater knew he had other interests. I overheard that shit earlier today. Man, if you need a witness. Thanks. Maybe I will, I said. My wife pulled that shit on me too a few years ago. But I didn't have anybody to stand with me. So I got rimmed pretty bad in court. So that was something, I guess. It'd actually be good if half of what I make didn't go to alimony. We talked off and on for the next 4 hours straight. I made a mental note to talk to Henry about maybe getting this guy some justice if he helped me nail Romeo and Juliet. Us suckers had to stick together. Jason never noticed me at the bar. I had managed to get some good shots of him and his little chickie. I would use them to show my wife if indeed she thought she was exclusive with him. But that would have to wait till after the big show on Monday. I got home around 4 in the morning. Josh, the barkeep, and I had a half-dozen cups of Joe after closing. He lived upstairs from the bar and so he had nowhere to go. And since he was living alone, I guess I was a good candidate for late-night conversation. I liked the guy. Plus, he was a damn good bartender. A major plus in my view. I was pissed at Karen. But I wanted to sleep in my bed. Not in the damn guest room. There's something about a man's own bed. It's something that my wife knew about me and that might be why she'd have sex in front room instead upstairs. I slid in beside her. She was awake. I felt her hand reach for me. I jerked it off me and just rolled over and slept. She evidently did the same. The light streaming in through the cracks between the window curtains woke me. It was almost 8 o'clock. I could smell bacon frying in the kitchen. I got up, showered, dressed, and went downstairs. She was in a good mood. I guess she thought that everything was all right, or at least that our marriage was not terminal. "Hi, sleepyhead." "Morning," I said. "Smells good." Well, it did. I was hungry. It might be the last day of our married life. But I didn't have to be all mopey about it. The shit would hit the fan tomorrow. But today was going to be a good day. I just knew it. "I'll be here all day today for you," she said. She said it like it was a special favor to me since I was being so reasonable. "Oh, yes. And if you're good, you might get really lucky," she said. She was actually giggling. I didn't know whether to laugh or be sick to my stomach. How could this cheating witch of a wife actually think that I would consciously accept what she was selling? I just giggled back at her. "I have to take my car into the shop later this morning. Have to have new brakes put on." "Oh, I thought we might. Maybe later." I had to figure a way to avoid her. And it wasn't going to be easy. I really didn't want to stick my wick in her. But I supposed I could endure it if I absolutely had to keep her off balance. Just before leaving to get the brake job, which incidentally had not been a lie, I hid my little voice-activated recorder near the kitchen phone. I figured if she called him, that would be the phone she'd use. I was right. God, how I loved the intrigue. 3 hours later, I was back. I retrieved the recorder while she was taking the trash out and I went into my office to hear what might have been caught on it. It was hurtful when I heard her say she loved him. Mighty hurtful. It was especially so since I knew he didn't give a damn about her. I couldn't wait to show her the dated pics I got of him and his chickie the night before. That would put a crimp in her style. "Hi, it's me." "Yes, he's gone out to do something on the car." "I don't know." Jason, he might not want to. Yes, yes, I will try. He loves me so maybe. But okay, I understand. I just don't want to lose him. I don't know, maybe we went afar shoving it in his face like that. I know, but okay. I love you, too. I sat there, in my office, in a state of wonder. I had married a moron. It was embarrassing. I wasn't sure now if I even should divorce her. How could anyone that stupid be held responsible for her actions? Now, the hurt was too deep. The in-your-face audacity of the pair made any kind of reconciliation impossible. And then there were the children. She clearly didn't give a damn about them. Unforgivable. I was up and out of the house before she even awoke the next morning. It was Monday, and soon it would be the living end for her and her lover. I first went to the office to let my secretary, Elsbeth, know I would be out for the rest of the day. Being the boss had its upside. First stop was Henry's office. He had news. Malcolm, his part-time PI, had gotten some stuff per Romeo. He was married, had 6 kids. Believe it or not. And his wife had the money and the family. A house fraud 10 years his senior. She apparently had no clue as to his philanderings. I instructed Henry to take him down big time and also gave him my latest recording in my cell with the pics. He smiled at that. I also mentioned to him that I might have a special job for him and Malcolm after the dust settle. I knew that Sue and Dak would get the kids off to school. It was having to talk to them later in the day that was scaring me. But there was nothing for it. It had to be done. Henry had set it up for the 2 lovers to be served at work. There was a restraining order against her coming back to the house and against him as well. The papers were said to be delivered just before lunchtime. I asked Henry to make sure it done as loud and with as much fanfare as possible. I wanted the 2 lovers to hurt. Also, I had asked that he make any and all evidence against the pair available to Jason's wife. What she did with it would be up to her. God, how I wanted to be there when my wife was served. And then I thought, why not? I was in the hall when the server arrived. I didn't know him and he didn't know me. So he just walked right past me to the office where my wife worked, the boss's office. Excuse me, are you Mrs. Karen Steinbeck? Yes, I am, she replied, smiling. I observed from the doorway unnoticed as she conversed with the server. He handed her a manila envelope. You're served, he informed her. Her expression darkened as she examined the contents of the envelope. She paled, tears welling up and then streaming down her cheeks. Collapsing into her chair, she was met by her boss, who attempted to offer solace. I made my presence more conspicuous. Her gaze met mine, wide with surprise. Mark, why? She questioned, her voice quavering. Unable to resist, I replied, sorry again, Dad. As you said, I deserve better, and I departed, though physically absent. I later learned that Jason had met a similar fate, fainting upon realizing the gravity of his situation. In the end, he lost everything: wife, children, home, career. I had misjudged one aspect. Karen wasn't the biggest fool in the world, she was merely the second. A few days later, I sat in Henry's office, sipping on a steaming cup of coffee. So, do you think you can help him since it's so long after the fact? Yes, I think so. The lady has a lot of skeletons in her closet, and she is more than willing to revisit the conditions of their divorce in order to keep them hush-hush. Get the alimony dumped, I mean, if you can. Mark, don't you know by now that I can do anything? He laughed. I stand corrected, I said, joining him in laughing. Late that day, I sat at the bar in the tumbleweed talking with my new friend. Jesus, he said, if what you say is true, you will never have to pay for another tap in here again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, especially since she rubbed my nose in it so bad at the time. Glad I could help, I said. Karen ended up with nothing from our marriage. But miracle of miracles, she was not fired. She'd been with her boss for so long that he let her indiscretion slide this once. Jason was history as previously related. I met with Karen the day after the big show. I had something I wanted to give her. I knew I risked having to listen to her beg and plead, but this one was worth that risk. Mark, isn't there some way? I mean the children. That was a card I knew she was going to play. And I shot her down. You have shown no interest in the children in months. Karen, that boyfriend of yours has had your full attention. Mark, he's a good man. He's like you in so many ways. I think that's why I fell for him in the first place. He loves me too. That's why we tried so hard to make you understand. It was for you that we bared our hearts and souls. Now you have seen fit to destroy us. All of us. Even the children. How could you? The tears came again. This time she had really pissed me off, making it all my fault. God, I was mad. Mark, it's not too late. There's still in us if you want it. I know I can make Jason understand that you have needs too. You'll still be my number one. You're the father of my children. How could you ever be otherwise? Jason is outside of us. Not part of us. I will make you a very happy man if you only give me the chance. I was almost speechless. I couldn't even get mad. This was beyond dumb, stupid, moronic. She actually believed her tribe. She needed help. But somebody else was going to have to provide it. She was history to me. Karen, I came here today to see you for 2 reasons. 1, I am going to allow you unrestricted visitation with the children but never your lovers. I am going to give you some money to get you into a new starter apartment. But then you will have to fend for yourself. The condition for this largest on my part is that you do not in any way contest the divorce. If you do, I will come at you with everything I have. And Karen, you have no idea what I am capable of. Am I clear so far? She stared at me. It was clear she had hoped against hope that I would take her back. And that I would be okay with her keeping on with world-class moron number 1. Like I say, she was going to need help. Number 2 are these. I pushed manila folder toward her. Please check the dates at the bottom of the photographs. I said they were the photos I'd taken Saturday night of Jason and his chickie. She pulled them out and stared. But these are from last Saturday night. You are not his true love. You never were. He's a player. Have a nice life. I said. I rose, threw a 20 on the table for the waitress and left. She was shedding the tears of the despairing as I exited the building. Second story. I found out my wife cheated and my kids aren't mine. I reacted in the worst possible way. Not to make the story too long, I found out that my wife cheated and the kids we had aren't mine. It all started when I was getting ready to go home after work when my friend Trevor gave me a paternity test kit after Christmas. I was sorta taken aback at the present, but I had to put on a smile to not look like a total dick. I asked him what was up, and that's when Trevor told me that something was off about my wife as he saw her recently at a restaurant when she was on a work trip. Coincidentally, Trevor happened to drive by the restaurant my wife was at when he was driving by to see his father that had recently went to the hospital after falling down a flight of stairs when he was on his way to work, and Trevor, who was waiting for the light to turn green, said he saw my wife holding hands with a man in suit who I assume is her boss. Trevor mentioned observing my wife being flirtatious and witnessed her becoming overly touchy with another man before he departed. Initially, I brushed it off, convinced that such behavior couldn't possibly be true of her. However, Trevor's serious demeanor planted a seed of doubt in my mind. In an attempt to disprove his claims, I decided to have my children undergo testing to ascertain her loyalty. Despite our long-standing friendship since childhood and a seemingly harmonious marriage, I refused to accept his words without concrete evidence. Weeks later, I received the results from the hospital, skeptical of the reliability of paternity tests. With my wife present at home, I opened the letter only to have my world shatter into irreparable pieces. The revelation that my children were not biologically mine struck me like a blow to the chest. It was the first time in my life that I raised my voice at my wife, catching her and the children off guard as she rushed to my side. Alarmed by my distress, she was met with the sight of tears streaming down my face as I revealed the damning paternity test results. Her expression mirrored shock and disbelief, akin to seeing a ghost. I yelled at her at the top of my lungs and wanted an explanation as she started the waterworks, saying she could explain and the whole cheater's excuse bullshit with the phrase it was a mistake. But I wasn't moved at all. I saw she put down her phone, which was still open. I ran towards her phone, grabbed it, and locked myself in the bathroom as she was banging on the door with her pleading. I opened her phone and saw around 47 messages of them sexting, saying crap about me, sending explicit photos, talking crap about his wife, and the message about her saying she would pass of his kids as mine. I was on the verge of exploding but had to remain calm and took photos as I collected evidence. I got out and showed her the phone and told her that I was leaving and letting her boss's wife know about the affair. And my wife, who was scrambling to find the words to say, pulled my arm saying we can work things out. I insisted that she had to confess the affair to her boss's wife, but she hesitated, murmuring in a strained voice, "I know I can't do this to him." Her eyes met mine, registering my simmering rage. Without pausing to consider, I lashed out, striking her with a force that sent her sprawling to the ground. In that instant, I knew it was the end. With little more than my car, I departed, driven by a sense of resolve. Swiftly, I reached out to her boss's wife via Facebook, providing the evidence I had gathered. Now, I await her response. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed incessantly with messages from my soon-to-be ex-wife, filled with apologies and excuses. I don't know what to fucking do. I loved her so fucking much and she decided to cheat me. I can't even focus properly that I narrowly avoid getting into a car accident earlier today. I'm staying at a hotel at the moment and I apologize for any grammar mistakes because my mind is all over the place and I don't tolerate cheating because my dad cheated on my mom and I was raised by a single parent. Can anyone help? Please, thanks for joining us on this chapter of Relation Tales. If you were moved by these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Don't miss out on the upcoming emotional roller coaster of relationships. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to share more compelling tales with you. Until next time, remember every relationship has a story worth telling. See you soon.